Dear Boomers, last night I went to a movie with Maso, who sat beside me in a seat. The name of the the name of the movie is The Last Ecstatic Days, Embracing Life, Death, and Community Care. It's about a young man who, around age 35, 36, had been battling cancer, and at the very end of his life, he wanted to be in a more, he was in a hospice setting, but he wanted to be in a more empowering setting where there was a lot of community there who were not afraid of death. Well, maybe a little bit. Anyway, so the End of Life University podcast on YouTube is where I gleaned more information. I went to see it because my friend Kip had gotten the film and he showed it in this wonderful medical marijuana facility. And it was very, very moving. The gentleman who was dying had a life before that of yoga, tai chi. He was into the energy medicine genre, and he himself was almost like a Sufi dancer. He had a somatic way of teaching these different disciplines. The physician and hospice and palliative physician, whose name was Aditi Sethi Brown, was featured in this film. She felt called during the last 14 days of Ethan's life to come and help him transition with her hospice community. They actually moved Ethan out of the place where he was and took him to a place in Asheville where it overlooked mountains. So his bed faced a window overlooking beautiful mountains and beautiful nature, and he didn't eat or drink for 14 days, and at the end of it, he had this supportive group of a shamanistic. I don't believe there was any drugs involved. I mean, they use psychedelics at the end of life, and I don't know if he needed to take anything because he was really in a high ecstatic state, as the name of the movie talks about. He was pretty much in a coma. He did not eat or drink for 14 days. And then the movie shows the moment of his death, and then the movie shows cleaning the body, getting the body ready. He did not want to be cremated, so they had made a casket for him. The children of the people who made the film painted beautiful things on the casket. They threw a lot of roses in the casket. They put Ethan, after 2 days, they allowed his, there's some philosophies that say the soul takes some time to leave the body, and whatever, it could very well be the soul does hang around. I know that, I felt that. So after 2 days, and they cleaned him and they straightened him out and they put him in the casket, then they show his brother, they show the procession moving the casket to where it will be buried, and then the brother was shoveling the gravesite sort of as an act of service to his brother at the very last moment. And very moving film. The place was packed, so it does show an interest in this kind of topic of death and dying, how our society reveres youth. Well, it wasn't really in the film as much, but our society does revere youth over old age. And of course, he was not old anyway, but the thing about death is that it can hit anybody at any time, and people should be able to choose. There are options for however it is that you want to face your own situation. Yesterday, I was going to a funeral and I drove by and I realized there was no funeral that day. In fact, it's today. So after seeing that film, I will be at the funeral with a whole new perspective. And instead of, I had the dog Maso with me, so we decided to go on a date night. And we went to the movie, but before that, we went into a restaurant with the dog. And I thought, as usual, I would be thrown out. But no, 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 they did not throw out Maso or me. And all the children in the restaurant came over to speak to that little dog. And he loves children, he loves all people, he loves all dogs. And in fact, when he confronts a big dog, he puts his arms around the dog's neck. Now, I had a dog at the house, babysitting a dog whose name is Luna, beautiful dog. And when she came near me, he would get up on my leg and go, ruff. So it's not necessarily jealousy, but I would call it possessiveness. So I may not be able to get another dog in the end. He and I will be gallivanting through life for maybe the next 13, 14, 15 years together. And I digress. Dr. Sethi Brown was so amazed by her experience by Ethan's deathbed that she changed her whole career to be a palliative hospice nurse. No, not nurse, but doctor. And she was so moved by this experience. It was very moving. She got really into it. She didn't, act under the professional heading of a doctor, but as a human. And she helped him along the way in a very beautiful, beautiful way. And now she does that kind of work exclusively. The most important takeaway from this movie was how, and my own takeaway, may I say, is that we can die at the time of death, or every day we can view as a sort of mini death. I've always been interested in bringing death out of the closet. The beginning of the day, the new day, a new opportunity, and a new beginning, and then at the end of the day, you relax, and it's almost like the death of the day and going into the night, which is another whole sphere of beauty and absolute, take away what you will, but the more you slow down, which is what my video was about yesterday, the more you can take in, the more aware you become, the more compassionate and loving and understanding you become when you slow down and you take every moment as a precious world of possibility. And so I feel that the more we live, the more people are becoming interested in yoga, plant medicine, and spiritual work. And even in Ethan's final days, he continued to be a teacher. He had a mantra. I think we might all benefit from this mantra. It is, I am embodied, I am empowered, I am ecstatic. I am embodied, I am empowered, I am ecstatic. Yes, life doesn't need to be mundane. We don't need to live from a vibration of grievance or unforgiveness or unloving attitudes. And when Ethan's parents came to the bedside to help him in his transition, very difficult, and some of the things that had happened to him in his childhood. For instance, I believe his parents didn't really get along and they fought all the time. Children don't like it when you fight all the time. They want to feel safe. They don't want to feel threatened. So he immediately created a space for himself where he could hide, basically. And so from so what I was going to say is his parents and him, he had a healing experience with his forgiveness with his parents. So at the end of life, he was able to take care of all that through the vibrational field of death and dying, new life, and a new world. He was entering a new world. So it was. So a question was asked at the end of the film whether an 8-year-old child, not too much younger, but 8 to 10, should see this film. Well, I don't think it really should be up to anybody to tell a child what to see. They can be offered what is in the film and whether they want to see it. And that's the most, give the child the option. Don't make some kind of decision for the child. These children today know more than we did and more than any other generation did. They know what they want to see and they know what is important. They want to see the planet flourish and they want to see love in politics. And this is what we are facing. And that's what it's all about. And another very important part of this film was community. Dying in a community. Another thing people were terrified of is dying alone. And I always have thought that that is an erroneous idea, that when you are at the moment of your death, there are the angels that come in, there are the people that you have loved and waiting for you, they're there. People talk about this all the time. I feel that if suddenly you're dying alone, that it's not a big deal. It is not a big deal. But dying in community, on the other hand, is a beautiful experience if you can have it. Not everybody can, and we must treasure the moments that we have. There's a film that will come up right there. Take a look, and I'll see you tomorrow.